Hello and welcome to this recording on advanced searching on CINAHL using the PICO search strategy. My name is Ryan Salas and I'm a training specialist for Southeast Asia at EBSCO. These are the objectives. It is my hope that by the end of this recording, you'll be able to explain the four elements in the PICO mnemonic, formulate a PICO question, identify keywords for each PICO element, and finally execute a PICO search in CINAHL. A little bit about CINAHL or CINAHL database. CINAHL stands for Cumulative Index to Nursing and Allied Health Literature. CINAHL is a comprehensive index and the definitive index of the world's nursing and allied health journals. It covers the following discipline: nursing, biomedicine, health sciences, librarianship, alternative or complementary medicine, consumer health, and 17 allied health disciplines. So what is PICO? So PICO is a technique used in evidence-based practice to frame and answer a clinical or health-related question. The PICO framework is also used to develop literature search strategies. PICO uses mnemonic to describe the four elements of a clinical question to be formulated prior to starting one's research. The PICO acronym stands for P for patient, problem, or population, I for intervention, C for comparison, and O for outcome. And as mentioned, the P in PICO stands for population. So in here, we'll assess what individual or group are we interested in studying. For intervention, what is the action or intervention or treatment we're considering taking? The C element is the comparison, and it aims to answer what other action or intervention or treatment are we comparing the considered action. And lastly, the outcome, or what do we anticipate as an outcome. And there are 7 steps to perfect the PICO search. So we're going to move through each step as we go along. Essentially, we're going to start by formulating the PICO question. And then we'll identify the keywords for each PICO element. We then plan our search strategy and ask what keywords are we going to use, how are we going to build our search, and we'll execute the search, refine the results, review the literature, and finally assess the evidence. As mentioned, the first step is to frame the PICO question, and it usually starts with a case scenario. So the case is, you are a registered nurse working on a urology unit, and one of your patients is a 55-year-old man who is recovering from abdominal surgery, specifically a laparoscopic prostatectomy. The patient complains of abdominal pain and nausea. His abdomen is distended and he has no bowel sounds. Now the physician suspects a paralytic ileus and confirms the diagnosis based on the combination of clinical features and imaging. Now, at the next evidence-based nursing practice committee meeting, you need to discuss this case. And the committee decides to do a case study to determine if there is an evidence to suggest that a simple intervention such as chewing gum post-operatively can prevent a post-operative ileus following abdominal surgery. Now, based on this scenario, our research question is, in patients undergoing abdominal surgery, is there evidence to suggest that chewing gum post-operatively compared with not chewing gum post-operatively affects post-operative ileus? The second step is to identify the keywords for each PICO element. So by looking at this question, we're going to determine the population or the P element and determine what individual or group are we interested in studying. For intervention, what is the action or intervention or treatment we are considering taking? Comparison, to what other action or intervention or treatment are we comparing the considered action? And finally, the outcome. So what do we anticipate as an outcome? So for our population, we have patients undergoing abdominal surgery. For intervention, it's chewing gum. For comparison, it's not chewing gum. And for the outcome, it affects post-operative ileus. Now that we've identified the keywords for each PICO element, we're now going to think of terms that are synonymous with our PICO elements. So for the population, we have patients undergoing abdominal surgery. So these are the keywords or the terms synonymous with our population. So we're going to use abdominal surgery or postoperative or recovery. For intervention, we have chewing gum and we're going to use chewing gum or gum. For comparison, we have not chewing gum. So we won't have related term for this, so we'll leave this blank. And for the outcome, we'll use postoperative or paralytic ileus or ileus. So now that we have identified the terms that we're going to use in our search, we can now structure our PICO search. What we're going to do next is we're going to combine our keywords and we'll combine the P element, the I element, and the O element. And since we don't have related terms for our comparison, we won't include the C element here. So the next step now is to plan the search strategy. What we're going to do is we're going to select our database. And we're also going to use the proximity search mode and we'll be utilizing the advanced search. And since we have planned our search, we can go ahead and execute the search. What we're going to do is we're going to search each element individually. So we'll search for the P element, run the search, and we're going to click on the new search button to clear all the existing limiters or expanders that we've applied. Then we'll proceed with the remaining elements. So we've got our I and our O elements. Then we're going to use our search history to combine those terms. What we're going to do is we're going to type all the keywords and we're going to click the drop down and select the OR Boolean operator. And as shown on your screens, this is the advanced search page. Now, if you're not going to select a field code, the system will automatically search for the title field, the abstract field, and subject heading. And it's called the unqualified search. So there is a field option called the all text. So when you select the all text or the all fields, it will search for the keywords in all the CINAHL searchable fields, and then it will also search for the full text as well. So we can go ahead and conduct our search, but before that, I'd like to give you a few tips and tricks to make your searching easier. So the database does support searching with the Boolean operators. So Boolean operators are simple words such as and or and not, and are used as conjunctions to combine or exclude keywords in a search. So you can use this to come up with more focused and productive results. So we have the AND Boolean operator, and this is used between terms to narrow your search, and will look for all records that mention both diabetes and obesity. You can also use the OR Boolean operator. So in this case, the system will look for either diabetes or obesity, and it will broaden the search results. And lastly, we have the not Boolean operator. So this is used to omit a term from your search and remove ambiguity. So there will be instances that you would only want to search for a specific term. Like in this case, you only want to search for diabetes and not obesity. So when you use the not Boolean operator, the system only searches for diabetes and not obesity. I'd also like to mention that there are quite a number of limiters in CINAHL. So there is a limiter called evidence-based practice. And using the evidence-based practice limiter will limit your results to articles from evidence-based practice journals, articles about evidence-based practice, research article including systematic reviews, clinical trials, meta-analysis, and more. And it will also include commentaries on research studies. For our sixth search, once you've added limiters to your combined search and run the results again, you can now choose and review articles that are most relevant to your PICO question. And if the full text is available in your EBSCO database, you'll see a link for HTML or PDF. And in case you find an article that is particularly relevant to your search, but is not available to you in full text, you can check with your library to see if they can locate the full text of the article for you. Now, the last thing that we're going to do is to assess the evidence and determine the strength of the evidence. So from the result list, you can see a bit of information about what kind of study it is. So we've got a little bit of information here and tells me that this is a research article and this one is a meta-synthesis. So what does it mean when we talk about levels of evidence and assessing the strength of the evidence? If we look at this hierarchy, we can see that the strongest evidence is meta-analysis, followed by systematic review, randomized controlled trial, cohort study, case control study, and case report or case series. And by looking at this pyramid, it will help you determine the strength of the evidence. So a meta-analysis is a systematic review that uses quantitative methods to synthesize and summarize results. A systematic review is a summary of the medical literature that uses explicit methods to perform a comprehensive literature search and critical appraisal of individual studies. Randomized controlled trial is where participants are randomly allocated into experimental or control groups and are followed over time for the variables or outcomes of interest. Then the cohort study identifies participants who currently have a certain condition or receive a treatment and are followed over time and compared with another group of people who are not affected by the condition. The case control study identifies participants who have a certain outcome or cases and participants without that outcome or controls. And finally, the case report or case series is a report on one or more participants with a particular outcome. And this is adopted from CEBN or CEBM rather, or Center for Evidence-Based Medicine. Now that's the 7 steps to perform the perfect PICO search. So let's now head over to the live demonstration and I'll show you how to perform a PICO search. Here is the landing page of the new EBSCO host user interface. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'll be using CINAHL Plus with full text, but of course you can use any versions of CINAHL. On the left hand side, you'll find your dashboard. This is where you can create projects, save items, track your recent searches or your recent activity. You can also view the holds and checkouts, so if you check out any ebooks, and this is where you can manage and delete the alerts. Just beneath the dashboard, you have your research tools. So the new search, as mentioned earlier, will take you back to the landing page, and this will also reset all the filters that you've applied. Then you can also access the help button and it will take you to our help website, which is called EBSCO Connect. So you have the how-to information and it include things like how to run advanced search, basic search, and so on. You can also access your publications authority. So if you want to search for a journal, a magazine, or newspaper, you can utilize the publications authority. Then you have your CINAHL subject headings. To ensure that everything you save to your dashboard is stored permanently, I encourage you to sign in to your personal account. To sign in to your My EBSCO account, just click on the My EBSCO button. You can create an account for free if you haven't created one. But if you have an existing account, you can go ahead and click on sign in to My EBSCO. Now I'm just going to quickly sign in to my EBSCO account. And once you've logged in, as you can see, I am now personalized. Here is my name. Now what we're going to do is we're going to search for the elements. So we'll start with the P elements. So we're going to search for the population. And as mentioned, we're going to use the advanced search feature. So we're going to click on the advanced search. It's located just above the magnifying glass icon. So by using the advanced search, you'll be able to use this feature called the guided style find field. And this feature allows you to combine multiple keywords. So if you want to add more keywords, you can click on add row and you can add up to 12 rows. And as mentioned, this feature will also allow you to combine your keywords using the Boolean operators. So you have your and, or, and not. And these are the field codes. So you can use the title field code, title or abstract, and so on. Let's now enter our P elements. So we'll start with abdominal surgery. So for our population, we can use abdominal surgery. And as you can see, once you enter your keywords, the system will recommend terms, provided that your institution or your organization has enabled the autocomplete feature. So here is abdominal surgery. I'm going to click on this, and then I'm also going to combine my keywords using the or Boolean operator. Next, I'll enter surgery. Again, I'm going to use the or Boolean operator, enter pause operative. Then I'm going to use the or Boolean operator once again and enter my last keyword, which is recovery. Now I'm going to click on search, and as mentioned, we're going to search for the individual elements first, and then we're going to combine them using the recent activity feature. So let's go ahead and click on search. And here are the results. So we have 852,000 plus results. Now if you scroll down, as you can see, the keywords here are highlighted. So here is surgery, recovery, and I can also see post-operative. So we're done with the P elements. Next, we're going to search for the I elements. So we're going to click on the new search. And then we're going to repeat the process. We're going to click on the advanced search. And we're going to enter the I elements. So I'm going to search for chewing gum. I'll combine this using the or Boolean operator. Then I'll enter gum. Now I'm going to click on the search button. Again, it's going to take me to the search results. So here are the results. And I'd also like to mention that you have your segmented results here. So if you want to access evidence-based care sheets or quick lessons, just select the corresponding tabs. So you have your evidence-based and your quick lessons. So let's click on the new search, and we're going to search for our O elements. Again, I'll click on the advanced search, and I'll enter pause operative. Then I'll use the or Boolean operator. Next, I'll enter paralytic ileus. Then ileus. Again, I'm going to click on the search button. And we've got the results. Now that we're done with our P, I, and O elements, let's go ahead and combine our elements. So we're going to combine the P, I, and O elements using the recent activity feature. So this is where you can track the searches that you've conducted within this session. Please note that your recent activity is session-based. If you turn off your computer or if you close your browser, your searches here will be reset. Now let's take a look. So we have our P elements, which is our first search. We have our I elements, and then here are the O elements. So I'm going to select my first search or my P elements, my I elements, and my O elements. Then I'm going to combine these keywords or these elements using the AND Boolean operator. So let's click on combine with AND, and we've got here our first, second, and third search. Sorry, let me just click on the new search just to clear out my previous search. Again, I'll click on recent activity. So I'm going to select my first, second, and my third search and combine them using the AND Boolean operator. So here is first, second, and third search. Then I'll click on the search button. And here are the results. So we got 350 resources or items. Now, if you scroll down, we can see that we have here chewing gum, post-operative alias, and you can also see gum and so on. The results here are sorted according to relevance, but you can configure the sorting option by clicking on the drop-down menu, and you can sort this by date newest or date oldest. You may also notice that the results here contain a massive number. So it could take us hours to review the items here. Now, to help us manage the result, we're going to utilize the filters, which are located just beneath the search bar. So we've got our quick filters, such as your full text limiter, your peer-reviewed journals. You also have here your all-time limiter. So if you want to limit the results to resources published within the last 5 years or past 10 years. Then you've also got here the source type filter. So this allows you to filter the results to academic journals, to magazines, to continuing education units, and you also have your dissertations. If you want to access the entire list of limiters, you can click on all filters and the filter panel will slide in. So these are all the available limiters. So you can select references available. You also have here the publication date. So if you're going to access the publication date filter from the filter panel, it will allow you to customize the date range. So if you want to retrieve, let's say, resources published within the last quarter of 2025, you can use this option. But I'm not going to customize the range. I'll leave this to past 5 years. You've also got here your subject major heading. You have the publication. You have your age filter. So you can limit the results to, let's say, 65 years old. You've got your publisher, language, gender, and you also have the geography. If we scroll back up, so here is the filter that I've selected. So I can click on apply to save the changes, and you'll notice that the results here will decrease. So we have 113 results, and you can also add another filter so we can limit the results to full text resources only. And we're down to 67 results. So if we scroll down, you've got things like the title, and you also have here the author. You've got the abstract, and you also have your access options. So the more like this feature will allow you to access resources related to this item. So when you click on the more like this, it opens the more like this panel on the right hand side. And as you can see, the recommendations are loading. So when you click on the more like this, the system will show you 5 recommendations. Just a caveat, if you're going to access the more like this from the bibliographic information, it will show you more recommendations. So it's going to show you more than 5 resources. So you can also bookmark the recommendations here. Just click on the bookmark icon. Now, the Generate AI Insights is one of our AI tools. So this is actually the summary of the full text. So the AI insights are grounded on the full text. So when I click on Generate AI Insights, the system will show me 2 to 5 salient points about the full text. And compared to abstract, the AI insights are easier to understand because of the format. And as you can see, the information here or the insights here are bulleted compared to the abstract. Now, if you can remember earlier, I mentioned that we have levels of evidence. Now, if you want to limit the results to a specific level of evidence, you can go to the advanced search and you can scroll down in the filters and you can limit this to, let's say, randomized controlled trials, and I'll click on search. So here are the results. We've got 21 resources. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down and we're going to click on the title. So once you click on the title, it takes you to the bibliographic information. So you've got things like the title, authors, you have the affiliation of the authors, publication type, and then here is the abstract. So you can also access the HTML version if you scroll down. So here is the full text. To access the full text version, you can click on the Access Options drop-down, and you can access this in PDF or in online full text. Now, the advantage of using online full text is it will allow you to translate this article into a different language. So if you want to translate this in a different language, just click on the globe icon at the top. Then click on choose language and you can now choose from the list. So we can translate this in Filipino. So here is the translated version. If you want to print this in its translated version, you can click on the printer icon. So here is your print feature. If you're connected to a local printer, just click on the drop-down menu and select your printer's name. Now aside from printing an article, you can also access other tools and features. So first, you can save this to your dashboard. So just click on the bookmark icon. If you want to grab the citation of this article, you can click on the Cite button. And we support 9 different citation styles, so you can click on the drop-down menu and choose from the available options. To copy the citation, just click on Copy to Clipboard. There is also an option to export the citation. So just click on the Export Citation. Here is Export in RAS format. So you can export this in Mendeley, ProCite, Zotero, and so on. You can also export this to EasyBib, to RefWorks, to EndNote, or to Noodle Tools. So that's the Cite feature. You can also add this to your project. So you can click on the drop down and here are the projects that I've created. If you want to create a new project, just click on the New Project button. Give this project a name. You can also add a due date and a brief description However, these two fields are optional. Next, you can also share this by uploading this to your Google Drive or OneDrive. There is also an option to create a permanent link. So you can copy this to clipboard and share this with someone else. You can also email this to yourself or to someone else. If the full text is available, the PDF and the online full text will be included as an attachment. And as mentioned, you can also download this. So aside from printing this, you can also download the full text. So if the full text is available, and if it's available in other formats, you can download this in PDF or in online full text. You can also download just the metadata. And there are different formats to choose from. You have PDF, MS Word, CSV, and so on. Also an option to enable the text-to-speech. However, the text-to-speech will only work for articles written in English. So let's translate this back to its original language, which is English. So click on the globe icon again and click on original language. And we can now enable the text-to-speech. To enable it, just click on the play button.
Chewing gum on post-operative oral malodor in patients undergoing.
So that's how you can enable the text-to-speech. There is also an option to download this in MP3. Now that's how you can use the available tools and features. So let's go back to the bibliographic record. I also wanted to mention that you have here the cited by. So the cited by feature shows you all the articles that have cited a particular resource. In other words, it helps you see how a piece of research has been used or referenced in other publications. So this feature is useful for tracking the influence of a research paper, finding related research you might otherwise miss, and building your literature review by following how ideas have evolved over time. Now, apart from the cited by, you've also got here your references. So this feature will help you discover connections to a piece of research and helps you easily locate records. So if it's in blue, it means that you have access to the article. And again, you've got the more like this. And as mentioned, if you're going to access the more like this from the bibliographic record, it gives you more recommendations. Let's go back to the search results and I'll show you how to create a search alert. To go back, you can click on the back button here and it brings us back to the results. Now, if you want to create an alert, you can click on the three dots and click on create alert. There is also an option to save this search. So if you want to rerun it in the future, you can go to your save tab and go to the searches. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create an alert. So click on create alert. And it takes us to this form that sits behind it. Just a caveat, if you want to create a search alert, please make sure that you have already signed in to your My EBSCO account. If you do not log in prior to setting up a search alert, you'll be prompted to do so. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill out the form. The only mandatory field here is the alert name. So we're going to scroll down and click on create alert. And that's how you can set up a search alert. Now once you've set up an alert, you've received notifications from EBSCO whenever there is or are changes in the search results. So it saves you time as you won't have to constantly check the platform for new information. The last thing that I'm going to show you is the dashboard. First, we've got the projects. So if you've created any projects, it will be shown here. So you can click on the projects, and here are the projects that I've created. I can click on artificial intelligence in healthcare. So I've got the records and I've got my searches. So if I want to export my records, I can tick the checkbox at the top to select multiple items, or I can also pick and choose. So once I've selected the items that I'd like to export, I can now choose from the available options. I can choose to download this, add this to my project, export these items, or delete them. Next, we can also access the items that we've saved. So if you bookmark any records or searches, it will appear in your Save tab. So from here, you can again add it to your project or export them. Next, you've got your recent activity. So this is where you can track the searches that you've conducted within the session. So I've got 7 searches. Again, I can also bulk export them. I can choose to download these items, add them to my project, or delete them. So we're going to skip the holds and checkouts. Again, this will just show you all the ebook titles that you've checked out. And finally, we've got the alerts. So if you've created a journal or a search alert, you can manage those alerts in the alerts tab. So you can click on the 3 dots, and there are several options here. So you can edit this alert, rerun the search, or if you want to delete this alert, you can go ahead and click on the delete button. So just click on delete. So that's your My Dashboard. And that takes me to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions in the future, please feel free to contact me at ryansalas@absco.com. And I also have here my contact details, and you can contact me via Viber or WhatsApp. So thanks again, everyone, and have a great day.